what are the different number systems that we have? Okay, the various different number systems that we have are something called as a natural numbers. Okay, then there's something called as whole numbers. Okay, and there's odd numbers, even numbers. You have something called as prime numbers. Next, composite numbers, and so on. Okay. So now what we'll be doing is, for your 5th class, you get to know about these 4 different types of numbers, it's good to go. Okay. So now what are natural numbers? Everyone will be aware of number series starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. No? All these numbers are called as natural numbers. Okay. And even these numbers are all positive numbers. Yes or right? So these are positive numbers going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a never ending series. Okay, you can keep on writing a number and there will be always a number which will be 1 or 2 numbers ahead of all those things. Okay, so this is a never ending series. So these are positive numbers, and these numbers are also called as natural numbers. Fine. So now if you add a 0, does 0 have any value? If you add something like 2 plus 0, what is it? You will always get 2. No. And if you subtract 2 minus 0, you have the same number 2. So this number in addition, subtraction has no value. Okay. But if you do the same thing with 2 into 0, what does this give you? This is 0. Okay. So what do you mean by addition of 2 numbers? That is, this number 2 is being added to this number. So usually if you represent this on a number line, there's something called as a number line. Okay. So what do you mean by a number line? So there is a number line wherein you'll mark all these things. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. Okay. This, and then the number 0 will be the left side of the positive numbers. Okay. So here is the value 0. So these are all the positive numbers. Okay, and this number 0 is neither positive nor negative. Okay, so the number 0 as such has no value, and this number is neither a positive number nor a negative number. And if you keep writing numbers onto the left side, what you have to do is you have to add a negative sign to it. So this is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5 and so on. Now there are some basic things that you have to understand. What are those basic things? Now I've told you, like, this is a number line. Okay, this is a number line wherein 0 is neither a positive number nor a negative number. The right side of the 0 are all positive numbers, and if you go to the extreme right side, the numbers will keep on be greater, which means this one number is smaller than 2, which is in turn smaller than 3, 4 and so on. So if you move to the right of the number line, you will always have a number which is of a greater value. And if the same case is, if you go to the left of the number line, the numbers will be of a lower value. What do I mean by that? Now if I compare these numbers minus 2 and minus 1, which number do you think is greater than, which number is greater or which number is smaller? The thing is, first thing that you have to understand is, there is a number 0. If you go to right of it, the numbers keeps on increasing. The same thing holds good. If you go to the left side of it, the numbers keeps on decreasing, which means minus 1 is always greater than minus 2, which minus 2 is always greater than minus 3, which is in turn greater than minus 4. Okay. So if you are standing onto 0, moving to the left side of the number, you will have a number which is lower in its value, and if you are moving to the right, you will have a number which is greater than its value. Okay. So now that you have understood what is a number line, what is 0, the numbers to the right of 0 are natural numbers, including 0, these are called whole numbers, and the numbers left are also something similar to the same numbers, but there is a specific other term. That term is called as an integers. Okay. So integers is nothing but all the numbers either positive or negative including 0 are called integers. In the sense, what are integers? All the numbers, both positive numbers, negative numbers and then 0 are all integers. If I have to write and then show you, let us start writing from -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. You can keep on extending onto the right side as well as onto the left side. All these numbers are integers, and the numbers which are positive are called the positive integers. And how about 0? 0 is neither a positive number nor a negative number. So 0 is neither positive nor negative. And how about all these numbers? These numbers are called negative integers. Okay. So what we have saw till now is what are natural numbers, what are whole numbers, and what are integers, what is a number line. Okay. Any doubts? If you have any doubts, please just raise your doubt in the chat box. Are there any doubts? Please just respond it into the chat box so that I can get to know. If there are no doubts, we'll just proceed with the lecture. Okay. So
yeah, if anybody has a doubt, please ask. Speak, ask.
Any doubts, please just raise your hand and then ask. We'll address it in this session.
No doubt.
Okay. So let's continue with the session. Now, I've told you there are some 4 mathematical operations, right? These are basic mathematical operations. Okay. What are those 4 basic mathematical operations? One is addition. Second is subtraction. Third is multiplication. Fourth is division. Okay. Now let us see what is addition, subtraction, multiplication and division in terms of a number line. Okay. So let's try to understand this. In this we have covered what are natural numbers and then whole numbers. We'll just look into what are odd numbers and even numbers a bit later. Okay. After we cover the multiplication part. So what is a number line? Number line is just a line wherein you have 0, the right of it is positive numbers 5 and then -1, -2, -3, -4 and so on. This is also so on. Now if I tell you about two numbers, if I ask you to add what is 1 plus 2, okay, what do you mean by 1 plus 2? Okay, there is this number 1. How do you represent this? This is 0. From here this is number 1. Okay, and then what is number 2 here? Number 2 is here. Now there are two numbers what we are adding, that is nothing but 2 spaces. Yes, after adding 1 space, from this you have to add 2 spaces. Okay, so this is like, if you consider this as 1 unit, this 1 is nothing but 1 unit and this is 2 units, or else consider like this is 1 ball and then there are 2 balls. Okay, this is how you add it. So this is 1 ball here and then there are 2 more balls in the sense 2 more units. So this is 1 unit and then this is 2 more units. So where do you end up? So when you are adding number 1 plus 2, this is where you end up, that is nothing but 3. Okay, now if I ask you what is number 3 plus 7, how do you do that? That is, when you have a number line extending like this, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what do you have is, you have to add 3 units of anything. why do you add? You can add these numbers to add any physical quantities like cars, whatever, be the numbers or whatever the mathematical units. You have to just add these numbers. Okay. So 3 units is nothing but, if you just note it down on this number line. Okay. So this 1 here, 3 here. So there is this 3 units which is nothing but here. To this 3 units you have to add 7 units. Okay. Third unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th unit. So to this 3 units you have added 7 units, that is 3 plus 1 unit is 4, 4 plus 1 unit is 5, 5 plus 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So after adding 7 units to the 3 units, where do you end up is have 10 units. Okay. So this is 10 units. Okay. So have you understood like how are the numbers being added and what do you mean by addition on number line? Yes. So now let us see, do you have any doubts regarding how is this? Any doubts? Can you see? Sir? Okay, so let's continue the session. So now we'll see how do we subtract numbers. Okay. Now let's take the example of same 3 minus 2. How is that being done is what you have to understand. Okay. So let us take the same example as 3 minus 2. Okay. Now out of this, which number is greater? The number 3 is always greater than 2. Leave about this sign. Okay. So 3 is greater than 2. So what do you have is, when you are subtracting a number which is greater than this, you will always have a positive number. Okay. Now for example, let's take the case of 5 minus 6. Okay. Now out of these two numbers, which one is greater? The number 6 is greater than 5, right? How do you represent which number is greater? You will have 3 greater than 2. This is the symbol for denoting greater. Okay. So, and the way of representing this is 3 is greater than 2. You will write it as 3 is greater than 2. The other way of telling is 2 is less than 3. Yes or no? So you can represent the same thing in a way saying that 3 is less than 2. Okay. So this is 3 is less than 2. So this is the same way of telling 3 and 2, out of which is greater is number 3 is greater than 2 or number 2 is less than 3. Okay. So for greater you use the symbol as this one. This is for greater, and for less than symbol you use this. Just see the way this is there. This number, the left of this number will be the number which is of a higher value, right of this number will be a lower value. In the same way like this, 3 greater than 2, left of this is a higher, this is a lower number. Okay. So less than value, if you see, this is a number 2, less than symbol. So you have 2 less than 3. This is the same thing. Okay. So now you know how to represent a number which is greater than or less than two numbers. Okay. So whenever you are subtracting a number which is of a lower value from a higher value number, you will always end up having a positive number. Okay. And if you have number which is a greater than number which you are subtracting with a smaller number, you will have a negative number. Okay. So let's understand how is this a positive number and how is this a negative number. See, what does this mean? This is out of 3 units, you have to subtract 2 units. See, when you are adding 3 units, when you are adding a unit, you are moving towards the right of the number line. Yes or no? Now what you have to do is, when you are subtracting this, you have to move to the left of the number line. Okay. Now how do you do this? There is number 3. How is this number 3? 1 unit, second unit, third unit. So this is number 3. And there is a negative sign, which means you have to change the direction. Previously you were going to the right. Okay. When you are adding, you go to the right. When you are subtracting, you come to the left. Okay. So there is a subtraction symbol here. This is a subtraction symbol. Okay. So what do you mean by subtraction symbol? You have to move to the left. So how many units you have to move to the left? 2 units. So here was the third unit. So you move left 2 units. This is the first unit, second unit. You end up being here. So what is 3 minus 2? 3 minus 2 is nothing but 1, which is a positive number. Why is this a positive number? Because it is to the right of the 0. So this is a positive number. Fine. Now we have seen when a lower number is subtracted from a higher number, this is resulting in a positive number. Now let us see what happens when a higher number is being subtracted from a lower number. Okay. So let us take the example of 5 minus 6. Okay. So we have 5 units, right? From 0, 5 units. 1 unit, second unit, third unit, fourth unit, fifth unit. This is 5. You have moved to the right because this number is a positive number. Okay. Now there is a negative symbol here. Negative symbol means you have to move to the left. How many units you have to move to the left? 6 units. So from 5, you move 6 units to the left. This is first unit, second unit, third unit, fourth unit, fifth unit, and sixth unit. So you end up being here. Okay. So this is the number. So 5 minus 6 is nothing but minus 1, which is a negative number. So whenever you are subtracting a number of a lower value from a higher value number, you will get a positive number. And whenever you are subtracting a number which is of a higher value when compared to the other number, you will end up with negative number. How are you saying this as a positive number and this as a negative number? It is because with respect to 0, positive numbers lie onto the right side and negative numbers lie onto the left side. Is this clear? You have any more doubts? Okay, so now let's see like what is multiplication and then what is division. Okay, so let's take an example of 2 into 2. Okay, what do you mean by 2 into 2? Okay, this is nothing but this number 2 is taken 2 times and then adding it. Okay, so this is nothing but writing 2 plus 2. Okay, so this is 2 into 2 is 4. Now if you see the same thing as 3 into 2, you are taking the number 3 and then multiplying it twice, which is nothing but 3 plus 3, which is 6. Okay, now if you just take the case of 3 into 4, the number is taken 4 times and plus 3 plus 3, 6, 9 plus 3 is 12. Okay, now you have seen that what do you mean by multiplication and then how is that related to addition. Okay, now if someone asks you what do you mean by 7 into 5, what do you write? You will take the number 7 and then multiply it with 5 times or nothing but add it 5 times. So this is 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. What is this? 7 plus 7 is 14, 14 plus 7 21, 28, and then this is 35. Okay, so this is what do you literally mean by multiplication and then how are we representing the same thing with addition. Okay, now we have seen how is that we are doing addition in terms of a number line. When you are adding a number, you move right of it. Right of what? Right of 0. When you are subtracting it, you move to the left of 0. Fine. So now there is something that you have to understand. Okay, so if there is a number 4, how can we write this number? This number 4 is nothing but 2 into 2. Yes or no? Or else you can even write it as 2 into 2 into 1. Any number, if you are taking it one more time, it does not change its value, it remains the same number, which means 1 into 2 is 2, 1 into 10 is 10. It means a number 10, or else you can just understand it this way, 10 into 1 or 1 into 10 is both the same number. Okay, so this number 10 is added with nothing, just the 10 number, so it is 10. So what you have is this number 2, 2 and 1 are called something called as factors. Factors of what? Factors of this number 4. Okay, so for this number, the number 2, 2 and 1 are called factors. Okay, so we have seen what do you mean by multiplication. Now let's see how do you do division. Okay, when do you say a number is divisible or not divisible? Okay, so let's just take this. Let us take the number 36, and then if you have to write a number which is divisible by 2, either you write it this way or you just write as 36 divided by 2. So this is the symbol for division. Okay, so this is a symbol for division. You can write the same thing. These both are the same. Either you write 36 by 2 or 36 with the symbol of division and then 2, both means the same thing. How do you do the division? You see this as 2, this is 2, this is 36, this is another number. So here there are few terms which you have to understand. Those terms are what is dividend, divisor, then there is something called as quotient, and then there is something called as remainder. Okay, so whenever there is a number 36 by 2, this number 36 has to be written here in the between, and then there is these brackets. Okay, and whatever the number that is there either down or to the right of this division symbol has to be written onto the left side of it. Okay, now what you do is you take the division by taking the individual numbers. Fine. Now when you know the number 2, what is that? 2 into 1 is 2, 2 into 2 is 4. If you take 2 into 2 is 4, which is greater than 3. So we have to stick to the first one, that is 2 into 1. 2 into 1 is 2. Now what you do is, you have to subtract it. Okay? So this is subtraction. When you do 3 minus 2, what you get is 1. And then you have to bring this 16. So now what you will get is, after bringing the number down, you will get it as 16. So is the number 2, is there anything that is goes with 16? If you just write, is 2 into 3 is 6, 2 into 4 is 8, you have 2 into 5 which is 10, 2 into 6 is 12, 2 into 7 is 14, and 2 into 8 is 16. So if you see the number, there is something called as 16, but how do you get that? When you are taking number 2 and then multiplying with 8, you get number 16. So this is 2 into 8, 2 into 8, which will give you 16. That number has to be written here. Now when you are subtracting is, this is the same number, so what you get is 16 minus 16 is 0. So what you have to understand here is, when you are dividing a number 36 with 2, what you have is the remainder as nothing but remainder. Okay, so this is remainder. Fine. This is dividend. This is divisor. And then this is quotient. Okay. So here the number 36 is dividend. The divisor is 2 here. See, without just writing this, also you can write what is dividend as well as divisor. The number which is above this line, okay, this number is called dividend, and this is the divisor, and then quotient and remainder you do after the division. Okay, in this, whatever you write onto the right side, this is called the quotient. So in our case, 18 is the quotient and the number 0 is the remainder. Okay, so 36 is the dividend, 2 is the divisor, 18 is the quotient, and 0 is the remainder. So now here we have to understand is what is divisible and what is not divisible. See, whenever you are dividing a particular number and you get the remainder as 0, you say that number as divisible. So when you say 36 by 2, the remainder that you have got is 0. So this number is called divisible. So which number is divisible? Number 36 is divisible by 2. Okay, so let's take an example and see which number is not divisible. Okay, so let us try to divide 5 by 2 or 5 divided by 2. Okay, so here as per this, what you have to write, 5 should be written like this, 2. Okay, so 2 into 2 is 4. You have to subtract, you will get value as 1. If you take the first multiple, that is 2 into 1, which is also greater than this number. Okay, so if you stop it here, there is no other number which it can go. Fine. So how do you do that? What you have here is, when you are dividing 5 by 2, 5 is the dividend, 2 is the divisor, 2 is the quotient, and the remainder is 1. This is not 0. So this number 5 is not divisible by 2, which means the remainder is not 0. Okay, so whenever your remainder is 0, so whenever you are dividing a number, whenever you are dividing two numbers, if the remainder is 0, you say that number is divisible. When it is not equal to 0, see, this is how we represent if they are not equal. You have two lines here and then you cut it this way. Okay, this is 0, you say that number is not divisible. Okay, so when now you have understood what is divisible and then what is not divisible, and how do you multiply numbers and then how do you divide numbers. Any doubts? Okay, so let's continue with it. So when we have started the class, we told we'll be seeing 4 numbers, different types of numbers. One was what was natural number and what was whole numbers, and then there were 2 other numbers which were called odd numbers or even numbers. So what do you mean by odd number and what is even number? See, how do you distinguish a number is either odd or even is? You just take the number 2. Okay, we have taken 2 examples. No, one was 5 divided by 2 and then 36 divided by 2. Okay, in this case what you have got is the remainder is 1. Okay, in this case you got the remainder as 0. So when you are dividing any number, this number by 2, if you are getting a remainder as 0, you call all such numbers as even numbers. So here 36 is an even number. And in the same way, when you are dividing a particular number 5 by 2, you are not getting the remainder as 0, but it is some other number. You call such numbers as odd numbers. So the number 5 is odd number. So if I have to list down few more odd numbers and then even numbers, you can write it as 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 and so on. Now, what are even numbers? The even numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and then so on. Now if you see the number here, I have told you on a number line 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and all. If you keep on writing like this, what you have is the number 1 is odd, so this is odd number. Next number is even number. The next number is odd number, even number, odd number, even number. Okay. So every alternate number is either odd or even. Okay. So what are odd numbers is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. And then the immediate number after 1 is 2, which is an even number. Immediate number after 3 is 4, which is an even number. 5, 6, 7, 8. So all these numbers are even numbers. So what we have seen today, we have seen basic number system in which we have understood what are natural numbers, what are whole numbers, what are odd numbers, and then what are even numbers. And then we have seen basic 4 mathematical operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and then division. Okay. So this is for today's class. If you have any doubts, please raise your doubts. We'll try to address it in this session.